Hello, welcome back to the Unapologetic Podcast, a podcast mostly about Southwest Baptist University. I'm Brandt Merritt.
I'm Jonathon, Woodyard.
And we are excited to have you back to continue the conversation about SBU and things happening in the culture around Christian higher education, around the church. And as we kind of led into last week, each episode will be a little different in what we talk through, but we thought today would be a good one to really just catch everybody up with things that have been happening and that will be happening at SBU in the next few months since we have not been doing this podcast for a year. There's a lot that we think has been exciting and great for the SBU community that we wanted to walk through and just give some updates and some context on. So that'll be the main focus, but I thought an icebreaker could be fun.
Sure.
So I'm going to tee you up.
We do icebreakers in our core group.
We do.
Week. Yeah.
Some are better than others.
Yeah.
But they are. It's always something you can count on that are fun. And it's a good way to kind of ease into it. So here's my icebreaker for you.
Okay, gotcha.
What is your favorite fall tradition in Missouri? And I say in Missouri because you guys came from Minnesota.
Yep.
We came from Florida a year and a half ago, both
Sure.
of us from different parts. So our fall traditions used to be probably a little different, but now we're in Missouri. So favorite fall tradition in Missouri?
Yeah, so thinking about that question, I don't know that the thing that we are really enjoying is something that's specific to Missouri. It's just the Friday night lights, the Friday night football. I mean, you got one high school here in Bolivar, and the football team actually plays here on the campus of Southwest Baptist. So they get to come over, use our football field, the turf. It's a great environment, and the stands are packed, and the community's there. So you're seeing people from the community, you're seeing people from church, you're seeing people from SBU that are there. Their kids are playing, or they're watching other people play. College students actually walk over across the street and go to the football game. So it's just a community event. And we loved that even in Minnesota where we were. That was one of the things we loved. I actually had a friend of mine send me a picture a couple of days ago on Friday because they had gone to the football game and we weren't there. And they're like, oh, man, the tradition's kind of died. You guys aren't here. And like, well, we're doing that here now, right? We go and we see everybody, and we're just enjoying being part of the community. So I love fall football Friday nights, and then because our college team, plays on Saturdays when there's a home game, we get to double up on the weekend. Football Friday night, football Saturday afternoon, and I love that rhythm. Love sports, love being part of that. Our kids love it. They see their friends running around. So it just makes it kind of this family community feel here in Bolivar, something we really enjoy being part of.
Yeah, we've only made it to one Bolivar football game so far, but it was a blast. Great crowd, and it's really fun to have it on campus.
Yeah.
Mine, which it's top of mind because we just went this past weekend, but Silver Dollar City, which is the theme park. We were from Florida. We love Disney and theme parks, so we try to find our fix somehow, and we found it at Silver Dollar City, but they do an amazing fall thing. I mean, the park is decked out. They have tons of different kinds of food, pumpkin, everything. And it's beautiful at night with some of the decorations that get lit up. It's just fun during the day. They have a whole section they open just for like dance party and different food vendors that our girls love. So that kind of scratches our itch.
It's not far from here, right?
No, it's just a little. It's not even really an hour and a half. It's just over an hour.
Sure. I know students will often go down there and go to Silver Dollars. We've gone once, and we went last year, and it was freezing cold. It was around Christmas time, so they had the Christmas tree lighting. Cool. The Christmas tree that they have there, the big one in the middle that does all the cool lights, it's actually from Disney. They bought that from I didn't either, but they bought that from Disney and brought it up here. It's an amazing thing to watch as it lights up with all the songs and everything else. Pretty cool.
Now I like it even more.
There you go.
Feels like
there you go.
But there are just really cool. Coming from Florida, the leaves don't change. There's not really pumpkin patches and corn mazes. So just seeing some of that stuff around the community has been a lot of fun for us too.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of cool things to do in Missouri. You've got Stockton Lake, Lake Palm de Terra, not too far. Go down to Branson, and you've got Table Rock Lake, which is a pretty cool place. Lake of the Ozarks up north, and so just a lot of cool things to do if you move here and live here in Missouri. So we've enjoyed the state so far. Yeah, it's warmer than Minnesota, so that's for sure.
It's colder than Florida.
Yeah,
so there we go. Met right in the middle. Well, there's a bunch of different things that we're going to touch on. Exciting updates, new things happening on campus, some that have happened in the past just to catch up on. But one we talked a little bit about last week that is certainly in been my focus on the enrollment side of, we want to get as many students to SBU as we can who want to be Bearcats and want to be part of what we're building. And it's super exciting to know that this fall we have more students across all of our campuses, all of our programs than we had last fall. And that's the first time in 12 years that the enrollment has gone up. And it's over 2,200. I think 2,220 is the total number.
You got
it's
it down to the
down to the one.
Down to the one. Yeah.
And one of the just to kind of get a little bit deeper in the weeds with it than we did last week. Some of the things that are actually helping us with this are we have fully online programs that we've had in the past, but we have more of them now, and they're a little more structured. And so
that's a worldwide campus.
Worldwide campus, and then also some that have been. They fall under the worldwide campus umbrella, but some of them, like our Master of Education program, which we've had for a while, have had some updates to them that allow students to start every 8 weeks. And so this last Monday, we're recording this on a Thursday, this last Monday was the next 8-week start. We had 42 students start this week.
Wow.
Which
is that undergrad and master's?
Undergrad and master's. Undergrad total was, I want to say, in the teens.
Okay.
Master of Education alone, we had almost 20 between different
And that's historically
programs.
a strong program at Southwest Baptist.
There's a lot of teachers who have either gone here and gotten their undergraduate and gone into the classroom, or who have come back and maybe they got their undergraduate somewhere else, but we have a very strong
I think the middle school, the principal of our middle school is actually doing his doctoral work here at SBU.
Yep.
So, a strong program, really thankful. We talked a little bit about that last week, thankful for that education program and just the opportunity to shape a certain type of teacher that goes into our school systems and makes a difference. It's an exciting thing to think about.
Our Springfield campus has some programs that start every 8 weeks, but they already had a fantastic start in August of filling nursing seats. I mean, we were starting to have to build waiting lists for. If you're not familiar with how nursing programs work around the country, there are state boards of nursing. So the Missouri State Board of Nursing is basically the one that tells colleges if you can have a nursing program, how many students you can have in the program at a time. And if you know anything about healthcare, there are more nursing positions open than there are nurses to fill the positions.
Which is it just sounds crazy to me because when you hear our nursing program and so many people wanting to be part of the nursing program, and it seems like that's just a profession that so many people are going to school for, and yet we just can't keep up with the demand. Yeah,
it's a challenging industry. It's a demanding role, and the State Board of Nursing in Missouri recognizes that and does allow some flexibility or increases in numbers, but the Springfield nursing programs are full. They had a great start. They have more students that can start in January, but a really strong start for the fall. And then another one that really bumped up this year has been dual credit and dual enrollment. So we traditionally have done dual credit at high schools where students can take a course at their high school, but it also counts for SBU. So their teacher, we credential. They have the qualifications to be an SBU teacher.
Sure.
And then they teach it at that high school and then get a credit from us.
So why is that? Maybe talk a little bit about, because I imagine a parent or somebody listening to this thinking through SBU or just thinking through wherever their kids are going to go to school and this idea of dual enrollment. Is that something you think is a good idea? You like pushing that? What are the benefits for families?
Well, benefits for families. One, those courses are typically less expensive than a traditional college course. For us, a standard dual enrollment course is going to cost about $300 for a student. It can vary a little bit depending on the location and if it's online or not, what materials are required for the course, but about $300 for a course, which is a little over $100 a credit hour. So the cost helps, but then you also get the cost on the back end. If you take 3 or 4 courses, let's just say take 4 courses throughout your high school career, you've knocked out a whole semester of college, because 12 credits is traditionally a full-time load for a college semester. So if you think about saving on the front end, but also saving on the back end, because those are less courses.
You're going to graduate quicker.
Yeah, you're going to get done a little bit sooner.
You're not paying for housing and meal plans and all the other stuff too. Okay.
Yeah, not that we want students to not be here for 4 years, but it's also, we want to serve students well and have them be able to graduate and be
the cost of education and higher education continues to increase across the board, every institution, and it's hard on families. And so here's an opportunity to maybe make a difference, make a dent in what you're paying for school.
Yeah, so it makes a big difference. And we've had a lot of those relationships with local high schools and school districts. Bolivar School District being one of them, because they are here in town. We had an increase in the number of students and even the number of courses that are available now. So we're almost 150 registrations. I don't think it's 150 students. There might be some students taking multiple classes, but 150 registrations at Bolivar High School this semester, which is up from before. Overall dual credit is about 280 students this semester. But then we also now have our online dual enrollment program called SBU Prep, that we've got about 20 courses that students around the country could take that are faith-based, that are SBU credit. You may not get high school credit for these. Your high school could decide that the English class or the math class could count for credit. That's a high school by high school decision. But for a family who wants to get those credit hours, especially for homeschool families, this is a big, I think, opportunity for them. You can go online to sbuprep.com and see those courses. And so every semester, fall, spring, and summer, we offer about 20 courses that students can take. And that's grown. We've got, since we started this in the spring, we've had almost 200 students go through that program as well.
So enrollment's up, new programs, people experiencing SBU in multiple kind of modalities, if that's a word, right? Just
it's a word. It's a good higher education word.
Yeah, a good higher ed word. There you go. So that's exciting. Exciting for us. I think when I hear those things, I'm excited not simply because SBU is growing or we're excited about that, of course, but like we talked about last week, it's an opportunity for us to impact a generation of students and hopefully raise them up, shape them into certain types of people who make a difference in this world for the good of their neighbors, the glory of Christ. That's what we're after. And so when I hear new programs and student numbers are up, and I hear more people to influence, impact for the good of the world.
Yeah, and we do think that there's a nurse who graduates from SBU is going to be different than a nurse who graduates from a public state university. We think a business student who could own a business or be a manager in a company one day from SBU is going to be different than a student maybe who earned that degree at a secular university. So there's real, I think, good reasons that we and all the faculty here and everybody pours into it, because we feel like that really does not just make a difference in the life of the student, actually makes a difference in the life of the student, but also the impact that it has out there.
It's great.
So, more students, more impact. It's an exciting semester for that.
It's great.
So, one of the things that I think is connected to that, and this is a little more centric to the Bolivar undergraduate campus, because as we mentioned before, we do have a Springfield Health Sciences campus that's more for non-traditional adults. There's not dorms or residential campuses there. We have graduate programs like our physical therapy and online masters in education and business, and then remote campuses in Salem and Mountain View. But the Bolivar campus is your traditional 18 to 22-year-old college campus. And so as numbers are increasing, we have more students coming here and different students coming here. The campus culture, I think, feels different. Like there's a noticeable, I guess, a vibe shift. Okay, I use like a vibe shift in what the campus culture feels like from a student experience standpoint, which is your realm. So I'd love to have you kind of walk through what you're seeing there.
Yeah, I think vibe's a way to put it. I think there's a palpable difference in terms of just what students think about when they think about going to chapel, or how they think about going to chapel. We do require chapel 75% of the time, or the semester you have to go to 75% of the chapels. But you increasingly hear students say things like, I used to have to go to chapel, now I want to go to chapel. You go to chapels now, we're averaging around 700 or so students per chapel. So not everybody's coming to every chapel, because you can miss some, but you're having around 700 or so people in every chapel. So that it's the energy, the bodies in the room, it feels full on a Monday or a Wednesday. People are moving towards the front, so you've got people sitting on the front. It's hard to find a seat on the front row now. So there's just some tangible things there you can see. You can feel a difference when it comes to chapel. Our worship band's doing fantastic. Ricky Mills, who's a graduate of our programs here, is now leading our chapel band on Monday and Wednesday and investing in them. And so they just do a really really good job.
Yeah.
The songs are rich. People are raising their hands and worshiping Jesus. So love our chapel experience. We've been able to have some great speakers in. I think of David Mathis coming down from Desiring God, promoting his book Habits of Grace, and then him pointing people to being happy in Christ. Ronnie Kurtz coming back. Ronnie is a graduate of SBU, and now Ronnie went on to do. We were actually in the PhD program together at Midwestern for a bit. So he graduated from there in systematic theology. Now he's teaching at Cedarville University. So he comes back, and he's back on campus, and he talks about how different the campus feels in terms of the spiritual side of things than he was here. And then he preaches in chapel and talks about, everybody being a theologian and thinking rightly about God. And so we've had him. We've had David Mathis. We've got a friend of mine coming in tonight, Chase Sears.
Yes,
Chase is coming in. Chase, we've been friends for 20-some years, and he pastors a church down in Tennessee. He's coming up, did his PhD in New Testament. He's going to help students think about not only reading their Bible a lot, but how to read it well. So just lots of things like that are going on campus and that people actually come to. Like there's been things like that over the last couple of years, but we've seen just a steady increase of attendance, people actually leaning in and taking advantage of those things. So I think we'll have easily over 100 or so students tonight for Chase. David Mathis did an After Dark when he was here, had over 100 or so students leaning in, thinking about how to pray, how to read their Bible, all that sort of stuff. Is just really exciting. One of the things that we do is D groups, so discipleship groups. And when our campus pastor, Stedman Valentine, when he started, I think the number of people involved was 13 or 14 or somewhere around there. So you're in the teens in terms of involvement.
Great.
That's great. We love. I mean, it's just first year here. Right. And we start these D groups and 13, 15 people lean in and say, yeah, I'd love to be part of a D group where they read the Bible together. They're memorizing scripture. They're texting each other accountability stuff. But then the second semester goes from 13, 15 to 65. Wow. And from 65 to now we're over 110 this semester.
That's awesome.
So you just from 13 to 110 in 2 years. And so the chapel experience, the discipleship stuff, the attendance at things like After Dark, but then just other things. I mean, people are coming to my office and sitting down and asking me things about complementarianism, the roles of men and women. What does that look like in the Bible? We're sitting out in the union and talking about the doctrine of salvation. People just having random conversations. Hey, what do you think about this? I think you can feel it. You can see it. I had one of the football coaches, head football coach, text me the other day. He's working on a devotion for his players, and he's really excited. Texting me some, hey, here's some things you and I were talking about at lunch, and here's in my devotion. So this unapologetically Christ-centered thing that we're talking about, I think it is making its way through the different parts of the university in really exciting ways.
Well, and it's even conversations I'll have with other staff or faculty, just the same thing, interactions they have with students, the level of curiosity, of maturity, of just spiritual hunger, but also just academic. We have really good, strong students that are doing great things, landing amazing internships and then sort of amplifying that impact. Sure. But I think across the board in all these different conversations we have, from the faculty to the staff to the student life level, it's just feels really encouraging. I think
people can look back, because Southwest Baptist, SBU went through a season a couple years ago, right before we got here, where it's pretty tough, some difficult things going on. And I think people can focus on, hey, went through those hard times, still some challenges that we're facing, and maybe kind of focus in on those things and miss the real movement that we are seeing. And I get to see, and I say this when we're in cabinet meetings sometimes, I'll talk about how my office, I have the privilege of having an office up here in the union, so I get to see the energy, I get to see the game room, for instance, just a small data point. When I first got here, hardly ever used, and now you walk through, it's just packed. It's packed. Students are here. So there's energy. There are people doing things. People in D groups. People walking into my office. Sitting with 2 students this morning before we did this, doing premarital counseling. So I get to see those things, and I think if you're not up here and around it, and then if you're out there and you think, oh, they went through a couple of hard years, you kind of miss the momentum that we really do have. And so I think this is a great avenue for us to kind of bring other people into some of the great things God's doing.
Yeah, it's special stuff for sure. And it's building out. We talked about enrollment growing, but even looking to next fall, I mean, we're seeing more students already applying, getting admitted, depositing for next fall for the Bolivar main campus and other programs too. So I think that it is spreading. I think the positive perspective and some of the great things happening is drawing more, even more students, even as we look for next fall. One of the things that is part of campus culture that was a couple weeks ago now was homecoming. So I know we had a lot of alumni on campus. We had just a lot of student involvement. We don't need to go kind of recap the whole thing, but this homecoming is a great week. I mean, what were some of your favorite takeaways from homecoming this year?
It's always fun to sit. Well, you go to a couple of different things. We go to a few different things. Being part of the cabinet, we show up at different banquets and we eat too much food during homecoming week. It's all great food. We have a great food provider. But it's too much. But to go from the 50-year club banquet, where you're sitting there with the class from 50 years ago and getting to meet some people that were at SBU in a very different day, graduated from here, were part of something. We're part of SBU before I ever knew it existed. Part of SBU before I was ever born. So to meet those people and to hear the stories and to see that 50 years later they're still coming back because they're thankful for this place. SBU had an impact on their life, and 50 years later they're still grateful. To go from that setting to come up here into the Union, a bunch of students around, and go to the football game where our students are there. Alumni are over there, but our students are there, our student athletes are there, and this younger crowd where SBU is presently having an impact on their life. And just to think, maybe in 50 years, I don't think I'll be alive in 50 years, but maybe. I'll be really old at that point. But maybe in 50 years, those students are coming back. And just to see that generational, 50 years ago, you graduated, you're still thankful for the place. Present day, these students are being impacted by this place. I love the history. The history is just, homecoming just puts it on display. 1878 we're founded. We didn't have anybody at homecoming week from that first class in 1878.
Not this time.
But we did have somebody here from like 1949. Which was insane. But to be here and to see the history and to see it during homecoming week in really tangible ways, 50-year class, present-day students, it's a pretty special week.
And this year was even more unique that we had homecoming the same weekend as Bolivar High School. So you touched on some of those dynamics with the community and how so much overlaps already, but then to have homecoming weekends overlapping, we had two parades, Friday parade and a Saturday parade. We had two games, a Friday game and a Saturday game. We actually sold a dual ticket, and promoted some things together. It was
we had a logo. Leon Worth, our vice president of advancement, made a logo for Bolivar and SBU, the Liberators, and the SBU. It looked really cool. To be at the parade on Friday for the school, because my kids are one of my kids are in high school. To see that and then be standing next to Robbie Bryant, our director of facilities. We're at the Bolivar parade, but we both work at SBU, and then the next day we're both here. So just the community. Bolivar and SBU have been tied together from the beginning. When SBU, I know we're going to talk about this kind of next week on the history of SBU, but from the very beginning, Bolivar, the city, and SBU, the school, have been tied together in really intimate ways.
Yeah, and it was, I think, some of the what's the way to put it? I mean, just the new relationship building, the momentum we're even having with Bolivar and SBU. And this sort of new season really was on display.
I think so.
In that weekend. Just a lot of good planning together, a lot of good supporting one another. It was really encouraging and fun to have it on the same weekend. So there are a few other things we'll go through, but one of the big ones that's happened over the last year is we've really leaned into, and health sciences have always been a big part of SBU, health professions programs, nursing. Since the 80s, we've had programs in Springfield, and we've really solidified some of that recently with Mercy, the Mercy Hospital System, based out of headquartered in St. Louis area, but they have a Springfield system that we work really closely together. We've actually now named the college the Mercy College of Health Professions for the nursing and health sciences and radiography programs. And then out of those conversations and desires, both on the Mercy end and our end, to really grow and serve the region, because we mentioned before there are just deep needs for more health professionals, and then we feel like Christian health professionals
Sure.
are even better serving the community. So not only have we partnered in with Mercy in name, they've dropped some incentives for either current staff or even people that would commit to working for Mercy, that they'll pay for their schooling to come to SBU and get a degree. And then we've actually branched out and worked now with Drury University in Springfield and Mission University in Springfield, schools that don't have their own nursing programs, to say that they can still be a Drury student and a Mission student, but then they'll be able to it's like dual enrollment at the college level. They'll be able to enroll.
So you can be a Drury student, but then you're taking your
You can get a nursing
degree
from SBU. And so that's, again, working, I think the partnership thing with a lot of the challenges in higher education, not every school is going to have the resources to go out and offer every program, nor should they, nor should we go out and try to create every program. So to be able to go to schools that are, regionally aligned and missionally aligned and say, hey, you guys don't need to start a nursing program. You can actually send students to us. They can still be your students. We'll train them in nursing. They'll still get their degree from you, and that serves the student, serves the region, serves the universities well together. So we've I think had some good success in doing that, and credit to the Mercy College leadership, Brittany Hendrickson, Tracy
She's
Manley,
great,
our
yeah.
provost,
Darren
Crowder,
yeah.
vice president for regional campuses, all the way up to Dr. Nelson,
Yeah.
and then the Mercy leadership have really, I think, taken a great opportunity and run with it.
So shout out to the Mercy leadership if they're listening. Thankful for you all. Yeah.
Yep, they are great partners.
And shout out to Darren Crowder too, just because he's one of our friends and on the cabinet with us. We like you too, Darren.
We do. Yes, we love Darren. and it's just been really encouraging to see that we can take advantage of an opportunity that's out there like that and run with it. So there's stories about that, and on our website, Mercy's promoted things. So if you want to learn more, you can really learn what those partnerships are like. But
awesome,
a lot happening in the health professions area. We've also done Christian K through 12 partnerships. One of the things that I noticed when I came in, I did not feel like we were recruiting as many students from Christian schools as we could.
And that's
a
growing. That's a growing demographic. I mean, I think the growth in Christian classical education, Christian schools, homeschool, that has shot up tremendously over the last several years in terms of the number of families and students taking advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, and Missouri is actually a state that's had a lot of homeschool growth as well, and we've traditionally done pretty well in working with homeschool families and still do. But the Christian K through 12 was one that seemed like an opportunity. So we've reached out to a number of schools in the state and the region, just really close. Polk County Christian here in Bolivar, Grace Classical in Springfield, I'm going to totally New Covenant Academy in Springfield, just a few, but even some up to Kansas City, one in Arkansas, and continuing to try to build this network of, we call them Christian K through 12 partners, where we offer some discounted tuition for their faculty to come here and get a graduate degree. We offer a minimum 50% off tuition for the students from those schools. And so they either get a collection of scholarships, their academic, athletic, whatever it might be, gets them there, or we try to make sure that they're going to get to that level. So we really want to continue to build that Christian K through 12 network and work with those schools. And we've had some success with that. We got about 10 signed so far and continue to lean into that. And SBU Prep, the online dual enrollment, has been another way for us to lean into that as well.
Great.
So those are exciting things happening. We were going to touch on sports that are growing. So we've got 3 new sports starting in the fall.
Yeah, we do. We're starting men's volleyball. I actually just met yesterday. There was a family on campus doing a visit, and they were here. The young man was here to look at the men's volleyball program. I met our new swim coach, starting a swimming program. Met him. His name's Gavin, and we chatted and just kind of hit it off right out of the gate. Some similar conferences we've been to, and speakers, preachers we like, and just enjoyed talking to him. I think he's already got 7 or 8 people signed to come
for next fall,
and he's been on the job all of a month maybe.
Yeah.
So
hit the ground running.
Yeah,
hit
so
the
you
ground
did.
Swimming, I guess.
So you got swimming, men's volleyball starting. Those are exciting. We're working on some esports stuff. So SBU had esports in the past, but it wasn't kind of this robust program, and so I kind of told them this year we're going to kind of pull out of the conference that we were a part of and come up with a robust plan to relaunch our esports team and jump into conference play and that type of thing when we have a team put together and we've got how does this tie into the mission of the university? What are we trying to do? So excited to see that come to fruition and launch esports again. So, and then we've got intramurals. You've got your NCAA sports, NCAA Division II. You've got 18 or so. Then you're going to add men's volleyball. You're going to add swimming. But on the intramural side, students participating in our flag football league. You got basketball, volleyball, pickleball. You've got all kinds of intramural sports you can be part of as well. So super excited about our athletic opportunities that SBU offers, things to do.
Well, about 50%, if not a little more, of our student population on the Bolivar campus are student athletes.
A lot of athletes,
so it's a big part of the campus culture. They support each other. They go to each other's games. And
we were at the volleyball game the other night, and the football team, because the volleyball game was on Thursday or Friday, I can't remember now. But the football team's there, and they're all crowded and sitting, and they're yelling at the other team, and it was all in good fun. They were behaving themselves. I was watching, but all in good fun. Just a lot of energy in the room for our women's volleyball team, and we won the match.
Hey, there we go.
There you go.
Great. They had a winning streak going, I think, there for a while too. Yeah. And then selfishly on the enrollment recruiting side, I mean, our coaches have done a fantastic job of just recruiting students. Students that are not only going to help their programs win, but also just be great
culture
members of the SBU community. Who really believe in the mission. That are student athletes, not just athletes. They're going to work hard in the classroom.
It's funny you say about you talk about that, and when I mentioned people being on the front row of chapel right now, that football team. And not just football players that have to sit up there. I think the coach is pushing them towards the front, so that's true. And yes, some of the guys on the front row, hands raised, engaged in worship, and just love to see it. So just kind of that type of person that not only is a good athlete, but they fit the culture. Yeah,
it's been another vibe that's been encouraging to see on campus. It's just great coaches. Shout out to Clark Shehai, our director of athletics, who has brought some of these coaches, been his hires, and he's really established a great culture within the athletic side. If you've been part of SBU for a while, our Center for Global Connections, the mission sending organization, has a great tradition of tons of trips, tons of students every year that go. You've led and will lead some trips. So can you walk through some of the ones that are coming up?
So if you don't know anything about the Center for Global Connections, they have a long history at SBU of sending. We're trying to create servant leaders that will make an impact in a global society, right? And so we want to send kids around the world, get cross-cultural experience, see the world, see this amazing world that God has made, engage people from different cultures. And so SBU's been doing that for a long, long time. And this year, under the leadership of Dr. Kelly Malone, they were going to send about 12 to 13 trips out. I'm going to lead a trip to Nepal in May. We're going to places like Boston. So it's not just international, it's domestic and international. Paris, France, Taiwan, just lots of different places we're going. I'm going in February to New Delhi, taking a couple of students with me there to teach a preaching class and then speak at a graduation, but taking some students there to experience that. So you got India, Taiwan, Nepal, Paris, then Baptist Hill here in the area. You got New York City's a trip. We've got a cycling trip out west. There's just so many places that kids can go, and serving, meeting practical needs. Raising funds. The cycling trip out on the East Coast, Dr. Tim DeClue, it's raising funds for kind of like a Habitat of Humanity, building houses, but also sharing the gospel. And so everywhere we go, we'll be meeting practical needs, but also telling people about Jesus. So students get an opportunity to travel the world, see the world, experience different cultures, but also take the good news of Jesus. So that's something I love about who we are. We're helping kids kind of get out of Bolivar and make an impact even now across the world.
And they do a lot of those students. They're fundraising for those
Yep,
trips.
they're
They still do creative ideas, or they'll just try to work with families and friends. If you go to the SPU website, click on Give at the top, you'll find a giving page where you can give to those trips. Some of them get really creative. We got. Did you get flamingoed last year?
I got flamingoed. So then I'm giving money, but they do things like create T-shirts and sell T-shirts, have fundraisers at a coffee shop, things like that. Work with a local coffee shop in town that one team worked with, and that coffee shop gave 50% of the proceeds of that night to the team. I had a buddy of mine, pastors a church in Indiana. Their church ended up giving to my team going to Nepal, and we just spread it out. So lots of people, churches, businesses getting involved, helping these kids experience some pretty neat things.
And even aside from CGC, I was just thinking too, I mean, we do a lot of stuff locally. There's the Bearcat Serve team that has been built within student life, that their whole job is to look for local service opportunities within the community.
Yeah, we're trying to serve about 5,000 hours of volunteer service across the campus this year, and part of that is our partnerships with Convoy of Hope, our athletic serve team, Jeremiah Horn, some of the work they're doing with Bolivar Public Schools. You've got kind of this Big Brothers Big Sisters initiative type of thing, initiative that Christina Sanders is leading with Naomi Sanders. They're kind of been working on that a little bit together. So we're not just going elsewhere to make a difference, but trying to make a real difference here in our community as well.
Yeah, which is awesome. It's great for the students. They love that opportunity.
We want to be a good neighbor. We want to be a helpful part of Bolivar and the surrounding area.
Yeah, that's a lot of ground.
That's a lot of ground. We covered a lot.
Anything else you're thinking?
I'm thinking a lot of things.
Okay.
Not that we can touch on right now, but my mind's always thinking about something. No, nothing right now. I think this is good.
Yeah, and we'll continue to kind of sprinkle in updates because, hopefully we don't go years without episodes that we got to do massive updates of things. But there will constantly be things happening as we go forward. New programs starting. We got STEM programs and for international students that are starting that we'll be talking about, I'm sure, in the future. Other new academic programs, campus master planning initiatives, and changes happening on campus. So lots of things that we'll continue to sort of weave in as we talk about campus, but thought this would be a good chance to cover a lot of ground and catch up. So you hinted at it, of what we plan to do for the next episode next week. SBU is a 146-year-old institution. That's a lot of history. We're not going to be able to cover every point of history, but there are some really kind of big moments and things that have been interesting throughout the history of SBU, connections with the Missouri Baptist Convention, the Southern Baptist Convention, just kind of how we got to where we are and how we've become who we are. I think would be an interesting thing to touch on next week.
I think being able to look back and see the modest beginnings of SBU and how much work people had to do, and really appreciate where we were, how we started to where this thing is today. It's a pretty amazing story. I mean, some hard moments along the way. We talked about a couple of hard moments that the school went through a couple of years ago, but even before that, if you look back into the 20th century, you look back into the 19th century, in the very beginning, getting this thing going was really hard. The whole place burning down 1910 and having to relaunch 1911. So all those types of things would be pretty neat for people to hear, and yet God's grace sustaining the institution, and we're still here today. So hard moments, but God's grace has brought us through, and here we are. So I think it'd be important to look at the history, but also that connection to the Missouri Baptist Convention. I think something maybe unique that people don't actually realize, that the Missouri Baptist Convention has 3 educational institutions that they operate, and we're one of them. So how does that work? And the Missouri Baptist Convention being part of the Southern Baptist Convention, I'm eager to talk through all that stuff. It's something near and dear to my heart. So
you bleed Southern Baptist.
Well, I do. I believe in what we do and what we can do together.
Absolutely. The cooperative piece. I mean, that's
the cooperative piece.
That's how we function. The cooperative piece is a huge part of what makes SBU happen. So
great.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining on this episode. We'll be back next week to go through the history of SBU and continue the journey together.
Awesome.